Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May peace and blessings of God Almighty be upon all of you and upon all of us. Also, Ameen, Summa Ameen. I'm Mohammed, founder and CEO of Shabashe, and today we will again try to speak whatever little truth we can safely, hypocritically speak to the masses. Because to speak absolute truth is very difficult due to XYZ reasons. The most important one can be the safety of your own life. Even though we all know that, or I should say, most of us know that life and death is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God Almighty. But still, not every truth is worth sharing. For example, most of us take shower on a daily basis, but it is not necessary to live stream ourselves taking shower to the world and tell the world that look, I am conveying a truth to you. This is truth. I'm taking shower. See it. This is the truth. Because this kind of truth doesn't add any value to the society. In fact, this truth is counterproductive to everyone because it will create more corruption, perversion, and diseases of the mind, of the intellect. Similarly, there can be many other truths of this world which need not to be expressed because these universal truths are already known to each and everyone in their own hearts subjectively. So, just a hint of these universal truth can invoke the feeling that was needed to be invoked within the individual or the group. So, this was the short introduction on what kind of truth we can discuss here and what will be the quality of these true things that we have observed in this world. The one prime or most important thing I have observed in my own self is that we all have different shades and different levels of hypocrisy inside us. And even this hypocrisy should not stop us from expressing whatever little truth we can express and share with the people for the common good of the humanity. We need not to be perfect to express the truth we have observed from this world, of this universe. because to expect that an individual will become perfect first and then will get the right to speak whatever he or she feels is a kind of foolishness, because throughout history we can learn there were only small few percentage of people, especially the messengers, the prophets of the God, who were perfect, and after them there were no men who were perfect, but still the other people also expressed what they felt about this world. So keeping this tradition and following it, it is the duty of me and you and everyone else also to share whatever little we have experienced in this world with as much truthfulness as possible. We know that it cannot be 100% pure, but even at 30%, 40%, 50% of truth is fine in my philosophy. We should definitely try to target for speaking 100% truth, but until that goal is achieved, we should speak whatever we can. The core driving factor in my life was the selfish motives of getting as much pleasure as possible in this world, as much comfort as much comfort, as much goodies, as much benefits, as much exploitation of this world for my selfish motives. This is the common factor which I have observed in others also, but at this moment, let me speak what I felt about my own self. Since childhood, one of the primary goals which we learn from our surroundings is to get as much pleasure, as much resources for our own selves, and live a comfortable, pleasurable life. And in this struggle, in this competition to get as much things as possible, we limit our understanding of this world. We limit our goals, we limit our targets mostly to the surface level stuff. For example, if someone is inspired by a musician, then after following the lifestyle of this musician, we observe how good he looks, how good his clothes are, how well to do his lifestyle is, how free he is, he can travel anywhere he feels like, and the other rich things that he has becomes one of our prime attraction towards this idol. And we also want the same kind of things for ourselves in our lives. We also want to have much better clothing, shelter, food, relationships, money, power, etc. And this is totally fine as per the standards set by the world. And this thing appears to be a very high and important goal in our lives, to get the best out of this world. And this best mostly comprises of all these material surface level things. But there is a problem, a fundamental problem. When we try to work hard to achieve all these material things, all these successful things, we tend to see the other reality of this world, the pain of this world, the struggle of this world, the injustice that is happening in this world, the death, and many more other realities of this world. And we tend to feel some kind of hollowness inside our hearts, inside us. And this creates a confusion inside us. And this confusion leads us to explore more and become more curious, to find more answers, and to understand why now the world looks much more complex compared to the time I started following my goals. Why it is not as simple as it appeared at the beginning, where I just wanted to achieve some worldly things like good house, a better car, and so on and so forth. Why this misery? Why this death? Why this injustice? Why these wars? And so on and so forth. And when we look deeper into these issues, we come to a point where we have to decide whether we want to continue working on our initial goals, or we really want to learn the truth of this world. The same thing happened with Gautam Buddha, who was the king, and before realizing these kind of worldly truth, he was Siddharth, the king Siddharth. He was away from all the misery, all the pain of this world, and was living inside a matrix created by his father. And this prince Siddhartha, when got a chance to look beyond these surface level achievements, these surface level things, he realized how shallow or how little he knows about this complex world, this complex life. And then began his second part of the journey of a curious soul to search for the answers and make his or heart peaceful and calm. Similarly, personally, I have also felt the same thing, that all these worldly achievements ends at the time of death. So what is beyond this death? Plus, why do we need to work so hard to achieve all these worldly things? Why do I need to become so and so? Why I want to be the richest person on this planet Earth? why I want to look the best in this world, why this competition, why I want to be the most intelligent person on this planet Earth, why I want my house to be better than others, why? And the simple answer to all these questions is I, because we believe and we think in terms of I, in terms of our ego, and we relate ourselves, we compare ourselves with others, with the standards set by the world. And when we do better than those standards, this gives our I, our ego, a kind of moral boost, a kind of good feeling that it is me who has achieved so much. And when we are not able to match these worldly standards, we feel depressed. And this continues until we die. It is only when we look deeper into the questions of this world, we observe this flaw of I, identifying ourselves with our ego, that enlightens and eases our confusion about the pain of this world. All the pain of this world arises mostly 99.9% from this selfish ego, the selfish I, where we are comparing ourselves with others, and in this comparison, we are creating conflict. We are becoming unjust because I want to do better, and to do better, I am okay. I'm feeling okay to even not follow any rules and regulations. This is one of the driving factors we see in capitalism also. The crony capitalist people tend to break rules in order to gain more profit. Big companies, big countries, these nation states all are following the same model. They are following their I, their ego. They want much more resources for their own selves because that will satisfy their ego, the collective ego of a nation, that our country is better than your country, our nation is better than your nation, our people is better than your people, my house is bigger than your house. And when vice versa happens, when the opposite happens, we feel depressed. If we are born in Africa and there is no food, we tend to criticize ourselves. What kind of a life is this? We are so much poor than XYZ nation. We are so backwards compared to that nation. So, this I, this ego, this comparison is the core of most of the conflicts of this world. And as soon as we replace this I, this ego, with the super ego or the supreme power or the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the absolute reality, the absolute I and His command, we tend to feel more peaceful. The reason being, when we do as per our own desires, it is mostly selfish goals that may or may not create injustice in this world. For example, a capitalist guy, someone running a business, can manipulate the system in order to make his or her company perform better compared to the other businesses, and can eventually harm other businesses in a wrong manner. But when this businessman is not following his I, his ego, his comparison, and he is following the command of the superego, the supreme power, then he will know that he should be working hard, He should be following the command of the one God and should not be applying corrupt practices and should give fair chance to each and every business in order to compete. And whoever wins naturally, organically, that is totally fine. I should not be doing corruption from my end. This creates a healthy environment. This creates a healthy environment for all the people where everyone feels that they have fair share, they have fair opportunities to compete, to grow, and to express their potential in this world. So, this super ego, this supreme power, gives us a bigger goal, and this goal is the goal of common good compared to the selfish good. And when we just replace our personal desires with the desire of one God, one supreme ego, everything changes. All the hard work remains the same. All the goodies, all the benefits, all the pleasure remains the same. But instead of just thinking about our own selves, we start to think in a collective manner, which we can also find in many other religions also. And these religions, primarily the religion of Ad Deen Al Islam, focuses on common good more than the desires of an individual human being. And that is one of the reasons why in Islam there is no idol worship, there is no personality worship, there is no human worship, there is no actor worship, there is no leader worship. The only worship, the only command that is obeyed is of one supreme ego, one supreme God, and everyone else, everything else takes a backstage. So this was the short introduction how I switched from my focus on achieving just personal goals to focusing more on the common good for everyone else also. And in this approach, I did not lose anything. I still can make and grow my lifestyle as much as I want within the limitations set by the one supreme ego. Plus, in this process, I do not harm anyone else. I do not take away the opportunity from anyone else. Whoever wins organically by following the command, the law, the code of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the God Almighty, takes the winning stage, and whoever loses after following the right path. And that kind of loss is still better than winning by applying wrong practices. And one core thing that we achieve by switching the model from selfish motives to common good model is that we feel some kind of peace, we feel some kind of calmness within us. And this calmness, this peace is actually the real fruit, more important than the results of our action. This constant peace, this constant calm is what gives the pleasure in this world more than the results we are looking for. I'm Mohammed, founder and CEO of Shabashe. We are trying to re-establish the Khilafat via a model known as TheoTechCracy, and the core goal of this project is to create justice in this world so that there can be a natural peace for everyone else, including us. And the only way we see this peace to achieve is via applying the law, the code of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazakallah khair. Thank you for your time. We will meet again, inshallah, by God's will. Ameen summa ameen. Jazakallah khair.